Hi, welcome to the Willow Bunch episode of After Still Standing. In this episode, I'm going to talk with Sharleine Eger about what happened in the town of Willow Bunch after it was featured on the TV show Still Standing with Johnny Harris. We're going to learn some more about what happened to the people after, some more details about those people that I found pretty fascinating, and what their plans are for the future. So I hope you'll join me, because this is a good episode. Well, thank you for joining me.
Absolutely.
This is very exciting.
Well, that's good. I was going to say, my gosh, that was so long ago when we did that.
It was.
Yeah.
About 12 years, I think.
Yeah, right?
Yeah,
It feels like yesterday, kind of, but it's funny how time goes that quickly.
it does. So as I mentioned in my email, I just curious about what happened after the show.
Right.
How things have gone. I'd like to hear about what's going on with the people who are in the episode and stuff like that.
So a lot of the people in the episode, some of them were new to Willow Bunch, quite new. So the person who owned the school, and I think he said this online, that he was like a self-proclaimed wizard and he interpreted dreams. That gentleman did leave the community after a little while. He did. Okay. He stayed for a little bit, but ultimately left the community, and we did have word that he had passed away, moved to the States and whatnot, but has since passed.
Okay.
So the school that he had owned reverted back to the town. So we ended up taking it back through tax enforcement as a result. And so now the town has an asset, that school, that they want to try and repurpose and revitalize to create maybe a multicultural center or office space and things like that. So the council is looking at doing stuff like that with that asset.
Is the building in pretty good shape? I mean,
structurally, yes, sound. Yeah. So in 2021, they commissioned a building condition assessment.
Okay.
And so we had an architectural engineering firm come in and do an assessment on the building and found that, yes, it is in good shape. I mean, there was some deterioration. So because I work within the municipality here, so we found a grant to replace the roof to prevent further deterioration.
Right.
Because that's some of really what was happening, right? The roof was failing, so water had leaked in, things were rotting, it was moldy, different things like that. There's no heat in the building, so your tiles are your floor tiles are starting to crumble and whatnot. But nonetheless, put a new roof on it in 2021, 22, finished it in 22 before our 150th. And so now we still just have the building sitting there, but we're still always actively looking for different funding and grants to repurpose it, to do, feasibility studies. So that's what we're working on right now. We have some proposals out for an updated building condition assessment and another proposal out for economic development. So things are moving in that sense. Yeah. It's no longer a college as Alan was hoping to turn it into or whatever. Sure. So, yeah.
All right.
And then
in the episode, you were the town administrative assistant. Are you still there?
Yes, I was. No, I'm the administrator now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Was that 2011? Was that what year was it? 13 or 15? 13?
It was
2012? I don't remember.
Maybe? Yeah.
I guess if I was the administrative assistant, it was 2013 or 14 probably. And so I became the administrator in 2016. Yeah.
I live in a town that's smaller than Willow Bunch.
Oh, yeah?
I live in town. I'm 5 miles from a town of 200.
Yeah.
And our people who do the same job that you do are volunteers.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
There's not a lot going on.
Wow. Cheers.
It sounds like yours is a job.
It is.
Yeah,
So,
okay.
like, so where are you exactly?
I'm in Michigan,
You're
in
in
the U.S.
Michigan.
Yeah,
Okay. Yes.
in
So
the
yeah, so
north part.
this what we had like this, it's a town just like city hall, or
Yeah,
it's a local government, basically, the lower form of government, as
yeah,
opposed to your state and your national government or whatever. But so yeah, so it's a paying job. Like, we have villages and towns that are less than what we have here, which is 300, and they'd be 200 or 150. But yeah, it's all a
yeah.
paid position. To sit on
Oh,
council, it's kind of a voluntary thing to be,
oh,
the
okay.
mayor and councilors.
Right,
They do get an indemnity, but ultimately, you don't get paid enough to do that job and,
right.
be criticized all the time. But
Yeah.
so yeah, so yours is volunteer.
Well, I
think
say
so.
volunteer. They're elected. People.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
you're like, do you have a mayor and a council and whatnot?
I we have a council. I
Yeah,
don't know if we have a mayor.
right. Or
I've only been around for 2 years now, and I don't
oh,
pay much
okay.
attention.
Yeah, yeah. So ours are elected as well, but then the elected council hire a city
Ah,
clerk or an administrator like myself or whatever. Yeah,
yeah.
that's what I do.
Cool.
Yeah,
Um, I'd like to talk about the golf course a little bit.
sure.
Um, in my research, looking people up, I noticed that Jim has died.
Yes, he has. He did pass away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is Jason still running the golf course?
Yes, he does. Yeah, yeah. Oh, it's
Okay.
funny. Yeah, that happens to be my brother.
Oh,
Um,
really?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Funny.
But, so yeah, so he runs a golf course and still does, and
Cool.
that place grows every year. Our foot traffic and our
Yeah.
upgrades are increasing every year. So, and we're getting to be
Good.
more known. So we're very fortunate. It's a great
Yeah.
little drawing attraction for our community.
Yeah. I can't imagine something that big in my town. It's mind
No?
blowing to me.
Yeah. No, it's wonderful. So we have that, and then I think when I was speaking with
Yeah.
Johnny specifically, we were also in the park, right? So the park and the
Yeah. The
golf
RV
course are
park.
side by side, yeah.
Yep.
And the park too has expanded with some few additional sites since
Okay.
that time. There's been some major improvements in terms of, you know, um, trees being planted and irrigation being put in,
Yep.
and what else have we done? What other upgrades? I'm just trying to think off the top of my head. Bringing better Wi-Fi to the park, because that's a thing that
Oh, yeah.
everybody wants now. So yeah,
Yeah.
so no, we've been constantly upgrading every year a little bit here and there
Is it
for
the
that.
kind of place where people come spend the summer, or is it
Yeah,
mostly people passing through?
a little bit of both. A little bit of both.
Okay.
So we have just over 60 sites. About half of
Okay.
them are what we call seasonal sites, where people remain, park their campers all summer and come and go
Right.
as they please. And then we have, general camping, or, where people passing through can
Mm-hmm.
book and stay for the weekend or a week or whatever for on a summer
Yeah.
holiday. And yeah, no,
That's
and
cool.
it's growing, like, in terms of its of being known, and in
Yeah.
terms of tourism, it's getting busier every year.
All right. Really
Yeah, so
great.
those things help sustain us, definitely. The summer,
Yeah.
having some good tourism help the community stay viable.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Is Nicole still running the Edward Beaupre exhibit?
Yeah, the museum.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the museum is she's like one of the main. I think she's the president of the board, and it's a volunteer board that runs the
Okay.
museum. And then they do have some hired staff as well, but Nicole is one of the main advocates for that
Yeah.
place. If we didn't have Nicole, I don't know what we would have. It'd be
Uh-huh.
unfortunate. She's wonderful. So yeah, she's still one of the main people, and she's also the great
Yeah.
niece of the giant. Yeah, so
Yeah, I remember
so
that.
definitely some family ties there, and
Yeah.
fuels her passion. That's for sure.
Um, Johnny interviewed Doris, and it said that she also worked at a museum. Is it the same museum?
Yeah. So at the time, Doris was the president actually of the board. Nicole is the president of the board now, but Doris was then. And Doris was very much involved. And she was like our local historian, right? You know, born and raised in the area, and so knew a lot of people. So Doris is still around, but she and her husband have moved to Assiniboia, which is about a half hour away, and they reside there just because it's easier for them to doctor or whatever and things like that. And her immediate daughter lives in Assiniboia, but Doris still comes down to visit the museum, and if we need somebody to do an interview in French, she's more than willing to come. So it's great.
Wes Bloom took Johnny out to the petroglyphs.
So
does he also work for the museum? Or the petroglyphs like a museum thing?
The petroglyphs is similar. Petroglyphs, though, however, is more of a provincial park. So, like our park here in town is a regional park. It's kind of municipally governed. But the petroglyphs, it's a provincial park, and Wes Bloom, and I believe he's still involved, is kind of on that board for the petroglyphs and to preserve that site because and if you watched he probably spoke of things that start to deteriorate, or people coming and defacing some of the carvings and whatnot. So he was always heavily involved, and the petroglyphs is another great drawing card for the south area here in which we live, because we have a lot of different things. We have the Big Muddy, which I think maybe Dawn spoke about on the show, Dawn Gold. And then Wes Bloom, spoke about the petroglyphs, and then we have our own little things right here in Willow Bunch. So we try, and when we tell people when they say, what is there to see if we come, we tell them all the different things all around so that it's not, you can be kind of a one-stop shop and see many things. Come here for a day, stay for the weekend kind of thing. So. Yeah.
Speaking of Dawn, I'm going to skip a little bit ahead. I have written here Dawn Lessard.
Dawn Lessard.
Is she not anymore?
Yeah, no, she's still Dawn Lessard, and she still owns the Jolly Giant Pub.
Great.
Yeah, and I remember her thing. Is there a stop sign in town? I don't even know if there's a stop. Yeah, I remember that now. No, she still owns the pub, and the pub again too. The pub even in itself is even a little bit of a drawing card for the town. The people that come.
Like a cool place.
It is, and she has always been one. She's owned several different businesses over the year, and she's always been one that liked to go to different little auction sales or estate sales or things like that. And she's always gathered lots of unique, sometimes antiques and other unique items, and so that's what she's brought into the bar, into the pub to help decorate it, and then it becomes a conversation piece, right? When people come in, so some good food, great atmosphere. And so that's another little, when people come, they're happy to stay and stay for lunch and even just, visit that place. It's a bit of a conversation piece.
And the show was recorded there, right?
Some of it was recorded in there. Oh yeah, it was, right. In the evening. Thing. Yeah. The stand-up thing in the evening. Yeah, that's where we all congregated. So it was really good.
I didn't quite catch that the first time I watched. And then at one point Johnny's like, here at the Jolly Giant. I was like, wait, what?
Yeah, no, well, and it's different, when you put up the curtain and they set up the stage accordingly to house it. Yeah, so it doesn't look like that's where they were, but that's right. Cool. That's where it was. It was fun. That was a fun time.
He interviewed the campaigns.
Mm-hmm.
I went looking, they're musicians, so I went looking. I assumed they had a webpage for their music and stuff. I didn't find very much. Are they still around?
Yes and no. So even at the time of that being, so let's rewind about 40 years ago, right?
Okay.
When they first kind of started, they were the Campagne family, La Famille Campagne, and they were actually something called Follavoine. And I could spell that for you if you want afterwards. But so that was their original band, was Follavoine, and they were kind of like that French folk music.
Yep.
Then they kind of went a little more mainstream in the early 90s to be not as much French folk, but kind of bilingual, like pop, not really pop, but something similar. And they were called Heart Rouge. And so they went from like 7 or 8 family members in Follavoine down to 4 in Heart Rouge. And then shortly after that, then they kind of just disbanded, and some of them went and did their own thing. So like one of the sisters, she's passed now, but she was a children's music entertainer, and her name was Carmen Campagne. And she was awesome. She was so good, and she did very well. And she's since passed, but that was her. And then one of the other sisters, Annette Campagne, she went solo on her own. So they're still all heavily involved in music, and they did get together for this, for the sake of the show. And they do every year kind of get together sometimes to do their own little little festivals or their own little, skits or shows or whatever like that. But so essentially, they're still all very music, just not one big group, and it's not just under Famille Campagne. That's why you might have a little bit more trouble finding information on. But I can give you, I can email you the names. Oh, you did? Okay, yeah. So that was kind of in the middle or towards the end. Yeah.
Gordon has passed.
Gordon has passed, our numerologist. Yes. He was such an interesting character. He was a fun. He was fun, and he loved numbers, and he loved to talk about that sort of thing, and always invited you to learn about it and whatnot. And he was involved in the community too as well, and he in like the seniors would gather for coffee and things like that, and they had a little senior center building, and he would always try and help out there. So he was a nice fellow. But it's been a few years since he's been gone.
Yeah. So a commonality in all Still Standing episodes is there's almost always a question about something that's coming up. And in the episode, it was the possibility of the oil industry moving in.
Right.
Dawn expressed some concern. Gordon was talking about what a big change it would be. What happened there?
There was there was a maybe very small, minimal, like there was a couple of test wells being, and oil's not new to the area, but it's not, it's not it's not prevalent. Like it's not a big amount of that's here. And there was a couple test wells being drilled, I think at the time, to the west of town here. But that's pretty much all it was. Nothing ever really came of that. Right now, the coal mine in Cornac, in the arm of Heart Butte, that's our, next to agriculture, that's our main industry in the area that employs a considerable number of people in Willow Bunch and in surrounding towns. So oil really isn't a thing, and that pretty much fizzled out right away, not long after the show. We've had lots of opportunity for wind tower development, but that hasn't taken place in the immediate area. Some of the municipalities to the northwest have a wind farm, and another one being developed a little bit further northwest. But no, we're still just holding on. We're very grateful that we have the mine and the plant here. Like the coal mine provides our power for the province. So.
One of Dawn's concerns was that the town would change. And I interviewed somebody from Bamfield, and they were talking about having a road come to town and how that would change the town. And there were people that were excited about it and people who were terrified of it. What's a general town feeling? Do people want something big to come in and make everything grow, or are people pretty happy?
So you're right. Some people want that, but they don't want the change that's associated with that, right? So I get it. Yeah, absolutely. I think one of the, like, we'd love to see growth, and and we always strive for that a little bit. Like when I'm talking about the school and trying to think about different things that we can use for the school, or bringing in some
Right.
industry that would utilize a 30,000 square foot building, right?
Yeah.
So, and that's why we're doing these feasibility studies and investing some time, and so that we don't just have a building that's going to deteriorate and be worthless, right? So
Yep.
yeah, so we're always looking for growth. You know, one of our main focuses is on keeping what we have and staying viable and not losing what we have, right? But then,
Right.
but we just slowly try and look at a little bit of growth. We know it's maybe nowadays, since COVID, you know, the world is a smaller place, and people have learned that you can work from anywhere, right?
Yeah.
That you don't need to be in the larger centers to
Yep.
have some sort of industry. So we're kind of trying to build off that in terms of the school, and keeping people here, right? And
Sure.
saying, hey, we have this asset. You know, you don't need to be in a larger center. You don't need to be in Regina, Saskatoon, Winnipeg, Calgary,
Yep.
Toronto. You know, you can be in a smaller center and still do just as well. So that's so. Having said that, you know, we're trying to keep everything we have, which means keeping things the same, but at the same time growing a little bit. I don't see a big jump in change right now. I think,
Right.
you know, so if oil had been a boom here, yeah, we'd have seen a significant change. But I think
Yeah.
realistically, you know, we'd accept it, but we know it's not going to happen, so we're not too worried about it at the moment, right?
Yeah.
But ultimately, if you want to grow, you have to be able to adapt to a little bit of change.
Yeah. Just the other day, I talked to Lisa Sigatek from Coleman. She was in episode 2, I think. And she said during COVID, she called it, they got discovered by remote
really?
workers. It's a cute little town. They can go there and live safely during COVID. And one of the impacts was that property prices went through the roof.
Really?
And it was a real burden for the locals. They couldn't just buy a home in their own town anymore. And I thought that was a really interesting side effect of the remote worker thing.
So you're not wrong. And so we might be seeing something similar, but it's not due to remote working. What we're seeing is the economy as it is in the last few years here in Canada.
Mhm.
And particularly in the larger centers like in Ontario and or British Columbia,
Yeah.
we're seeing a lot of influx of people moving to Saskatchewan. Why? Because it's economical to live here. It's cheaper to live here.
Sure,
So
yeah.
when you can't afford your modest house in BC and or Ontario, which, you know, a modest 1,500 square foot house might still be $1 million there, it's only a few tens of thousands here, like it's under 100,000. So they're selling those and coming here so that they can afford to live. So we are seeing that kind of an influx for sure, which when you're used to some of the people that have been born and raised here and lived here for, you know, 60, 70 years, that's a bit of a change. That's kind of difficult because then there's a bunch of people in town that you don't know anymore. Before you knew everybody, right?
Yeah.
So that's a bit of a change, but it's still a positive change, you know, because then, you know, when these people move in, they're still telling people about Saskatchewan. They're telling people about what we have and the good things that we have here. And, you know, that's something that you want, because originally when things were going good, the young kids, as soon as they graduated, were moving away, right? Or they're moving to Alberta, you know, because at one time, Saskatchewan was considered a have-not province and Alberta was. So everybody was going to Alberta, but now Saskatchewan has grown and is economically viable and sustainable, and people are staying, and we see people moving back. Yeah. So things are, you know, it ebbs and flows, but you know, as long as we can maintain and have a place. I mean, I was born and raised here. I don't plan on leaving. I love it here, and so you work with trying to keep what you have.
Yeah. There's another episode, I haven't talked to anybody from there yet, where they're trying to figure out how to get people to move to town. And this was, I don't know, 2015. But looking at it now, I think, well, you just get good internet. And people like me who make their living online would love to move to a small town.
Yeah.
And You know,
So yeah,
it's like doubling your income, really.
yeah, and that's we've worked at that sort of thing too. So regionally, with all those surrounding municipalities that
Mm-hmm.
have the similar outlook, we have expanded our ability for good internet and
Mm-hmm.
Wi-Fi and whatnot. So that's one of the things that we put out there, is to say that, hey, you know, if COVID taught you anything, that's what it was,
Yeah.
that you can work remotely.
Yeah.
We still work, like I said before, in terms of the school and the assets that we have. You don't have to be in the larger center. We're just as good
Right.
here. Yeah.
So, what was it like having a TV crew come to town?
So it was interesting. I'll have to say, it wasn't my first rodeo. I've done this
Oh,
before.
okay.
We've had so we've had different. We had a French station come through and
Okay.
do a food show.
Oh,
About the different types of food and different ways to prepare them in Canada. So
okay.
I've been through this before. So for me,
Yeah.
it's fun because it's always interesting. For the town, it was quite a big, or a positive ordeal. People were excited
Right.
about it, and there was lots of talk, and lots of people were engaged and interested, and yeah, and couldn't wait to see how things worked and didn't work. So no, it was good. I mean, and even at that, there was film crews in town. Either it might not have been before Still Standing.
Okay.
It might have been after, but there was a movie filmed nearby, right? And they
Wow.
did come to the Jolly Giant and do some scenes there where they
Oh, that's
needed
cool.
some local people to participate as well. So anytime stuff like that comes and can help put us on the map a little bit more, people are usually
Yeah.
pretty engaged and excited about the whole thing. Yeah. Curious, always very
Yeah.
curious. Yeah.
When the episode came out on TV, did you all have like a watch party or something, anything? Or
Huh. No, I don't believe we did.
okay.
No, it's funny, as you think I would remember that, but no, I don't think
Yeah.
we did. But I think we did. Like I know we advertised it so that people could watch it and
Sure. Yeah.
participate. Make sure that they knew about it. But I'm pretty sure it wasn't a specific community watch party. No,
Yeah. Something
I
I
suppose
would.
some communities did, right?
Um, I have talked to people in one community that did.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. They all got together and all watched together.
Good.
Something I would want to see, and I think they could do, is like a director's cut of the stand-up that was
Oh
associated.
yeah.
Like
Hmm.
we only see like 10 minutes of the stand-up in the show because he's interviewing
Yeah,
people.
that's
And
right.
I'm guessing the show is a lot longer, or the stand-up is a lot longer.
Oh yeah, it
And
was no longer than 10 minutes for sure. I
yeah,
mean, it
there's
wasn't. It
probably
wasn't
tons of
like an
stuff
hour or anything, but yeah, you're
yeah,
right.
there's tons of stuff that we didn't get to see. And I think that'd be
Something
pretty
that,
cool.
it's funny, when you first reached out, it made me think of, so this was 2011 or 2012 or whenever it was. It made me think of, there was a few years later, just before, so Willow Bunch celebrated its 150th anniversary in
Ah,
2020, but because of
okay.
COVID, we couldn't have our big celebrations
All
we had in
right.
2022. But nonetheless, prior to that, that was one of the things I had reached out to, or I had tried to communicate with the Still Standing
Oh yeah.
crew or agency or whatever have you, and to say that we'd love for them to come back, to come back and interview us, and say
Right.
that we are indeed still standing.
Yep.
But I hadn't received any response to that. But I thought that would have been kind of a fun thing, right? As a,
Yeah.
you know, kind of an intro to our 150th anniversary.
Sure. Yeah. I've heard several people say that they would like very much to have them come back.
Yeah.
And it would be cool, but there's no way they could do all of them.
No, of course
Be like
not.
starting over.
Yeah, absolutely. It would be. Yeah, no, that's right.
So I mean, that's a little bit of what I'm doing.
Well, that's good.
I'm not Johnny, and I'm not coming to your town, but people want to know: are you still standing?
Yeah,
It sounds like you are.
absolutely. And we are. And we're a great community that work very hard at keeping what we're doing, keeping it going. It's
cool.
important.
I'm glad to hear it.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, that's it for what I have.
Okay.
Unless you have something cool you want to tell me.
Well, no, not off the top of my head. I'm sure as soon as I sign off, I'll think of,
Sure,
I should have
yeah.
told you this, right? That's always how that goes. No, I just think that it's pretty cool what you're doing. It's nice that people reach out and are curious about it, because that's what helps us. That's what helps us keep us viable is people from abroad that want to know what's happening here. So
right.
And we thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right. Well, you take care.
I will.
And if you have any
questions, when this goes live.
Okay, sure. And if you have any other questions, feel free to reach out.
All right. Sounds good.
Great. Thanks so much.
Yep. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye-bye.